Hello, and welcome to creating a winning social media strategy for your business. I'm Nancy Burgess. I'm the host of this webinar or 30-minute marketing tips. I have 6 tips for you today about social media marketing especially for small businesses. And let's get started. So the first thing I want to talk about are just a few little definitions in case people have not heard these terms before. Hashtag is the pound sign. It's the sharp sign in music. It's similar to an indexing system. And it lets people know that this is a topic about that thing that's behind the hashtag. Everything's all one word. There's no spaces after a hashtag until you're done with that hashtag. So if it's 2 or 3 words, those are the words in a row. And sometimes it can be ironic or comical. For example, I had a post for a dentist recently, and it was somebody who had knocked out their 2 front teeth. And one of the thoughts that ran through my head would be hashtag all I want for Christmas. Of course, I wouldn't use that because it wasn't on brand, but it did run through my head. And so that's kind of that ironic or comical use of a hashtag. You may see that a lot of times. An algorithm is the formula that for social media and other things that decides what gets shown and who gets to see it and how many people get to see it without paying for it. In other words, the organic search feed. Which is kind of a fancy name for saying people get to see your stuff. And stories are posts that vanish after 24 hours. Text and so posts are like the text and images, kind of the traditional social media, including video now. And boosting a post is paying to turn it into a more visible post. Usually the algorithms tend to very much favor boosting a post as opposed to just posting something. And a persona is kind of a marketing stereotype or a demographic profile of your target audience. This actually goes a lot further than just the demographics. All right. So, what is not a sad strategy? Well, fear of missing out is definitely not a strategy. And a lot of people participate in social media marketing because they feel like, well, everybody else is doing it, so I should do it too. And maybe that's true, or maybe it's not. That's why we're going to talk about strategy today. Is your parents would say, if everyone else was, yeah, you know how that goes. Would you? So always begin with strategy. So we're going to talk about 6 things to consider for your social media marketing strategy. The first thing we want to consider are your business goals. You always want to start with your business goals. What are you trying to achieve on this channel? For example, you could be using YouTube, and on YouTube, you might want to have how-to videos, or you might just be trying to get interest and brand awareness about your business. You may be trying to build relationships or make a personal connection with people. You may be trying to distribute content, posting your blogs, links to your blogs or links to your website, things like that. You may be trying to generate leads for your business, capturing emails and things like that. So these are all different ways that business goals that can be achieved on social media. Brand awareness, interests, website traffic, leads, revenue, if they can make a purchase right in the site. And some social media channels, you can do that now. And creating a community to generate engagement, getting people like excited about your brand, serving as customer support. Some channels are used to, deal with problems people are having, that they'll, tweet about it or they'll post on social media, and then the business will respond. Building relationships, we talk about distributing content to increase mentions in the press. For example, to extend a social media, a PR campaign, your press releases and things like that. And also social listening, just to check in and see what people are talking about, what's hot, what's not, what are they saying about your brand. And we look at what we call the buyer's journey in marketing. And a lot of social media is kind of at the top of that, although it has gotten a lot different over time. So at the top of the funnel, you have awareness where people find out about your brand. Interest is where they start to want to know more. There's the consideration phase and then the purchase phase. And then there's a post purchase phase. For example, if you have a product that needs how to's, for people to understand how to do it, or how to, like let's say you buy a printer and you maybe want to know how to change the cartridges in it, or how to clean it, that kind of thing. And then the repurchase it. And down at the bottom, so at the top you have strangers, people have never heard of your business or your company. And at the bottom you have advocates, people who are really like engaged in your brand and really love it and are talking about it. So you want to see how your business goals align with that funnel and that strategy. The second thing we want to talk about is know who you're targeting on that channel. So if you are selling shoes to 20-year-olds, you may not participate on the same channel as if you're selling retirement funds. So know where your target audience or persona is. For example, this would be, like a young mother of 2 kids, working mother. See, she's all dressed up. She must be going to work and dropping the kids off at daycare, so all these different things about her. And, what channel is she on? Is she on Pinterest? Is she on Instagram? Is she on Facebook? What kinds of things is she posting there? So these are just some of the things: the age, the gender, the location, the income, the job title, industries, interests, and many other things, factors can be considered in here. For example, having 2 kids, or being a parent, or being a single parent. Number 3 is to choose your platform wisely. And this is really important. A lot of people try to be everything to everyone, especially small businesses really don't have the bandwidth to do that. So choose your social media channel wisely. For example, the great majority of people, US adults, are on Facebook or YouTube. Actually, YouTube has surpassed Facebook in how many people are on its channel. That's why, because videos have become so popular, but also a lot of TV programs and movies are on there. So you have some pretty stiff competition there. At the same time, you've got a lot of men on YouTube compared to the other channels. 78% of US men are on YouTube. 63% of US men are on Facebook. So these are kinds of things, if you're targeting men, you probably are not going to go to Pinterest, where only 15% of men are on Pinterest. So they have a lot of different things here, whether they're white, Black, Latino, different categories of people, and who's where and what they're doing. So a little bit more information about that is you have, the age groups. So the younger people are definitely on YouTube. There, you see a lot more Snapchat for younger people than, let's say, for LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is a business to business platform. We'll talk about that a little bit more. But in the 65 plus, if you're targeting those retirees, or you probably want to be on either YouTube or Facebook or both, but not all these other channels, because you don't have the bandwidth to participate in everything. Now, for an enterprise company, that may be quite different, but for most small businesses, it's just not realistic. And it's better to do a couple of channels well than to be on all sorts of channels and be a ghost town. So should you be on YouTube? Well, as we mentioned, it's very popular with all adults. It's easily searchable. It's a search engine in itself. It makes, you have short and long form videos. It's really ideal for demos and, as I mentioned before, how-tos and reviews and answering customer service questions. And if you tell a story and you can bring in emotion, you can consider driving other platforms to YouTube. Like you could drive people to your website. Your website can drive people to YouTube, and so it goes both ways. And then you can have ads on there. You can be one of the ads, or there will be ads interrupting you if you're just using it for free. And then should you be on Facebook? Well, it's hugely popular. It's definitely the most popular for business because it has such a broad reach. And because it allows posts and not just, you don't have just videos. It's a good place to start. It has become very much pay to play. In other words, I was looking at some statistics for a client today who's just getting started on some social media. The posts were being shown to 24 to 30 people, except when we boosted it, and then it was 5.9 or something. It was, like 5,900 people for a short boost. So it really does pay to boost those posts, but make sure you're boosting something that's boost worthy. Um, uh, it's a great scheduling and tracking tool. You don't have to use another tool. You can right in Facebook Business Suite. You can both post both in Instagram, and you can now have the opportunity to tailor your Instagram or your Facebook posts, or post the identical things in the same one. Generally, it's recommended that you create a more specific identity for each channel. In other words, you wouldn't post the exact same thing, but for the purposes of, efficiency, a lot of people do, and it's really a very common practice. Teens and millennials are not always interacting on Facebook. They may have profiles, but those are the profiles that, they show to their grandparents. And where they may be really interacting might be Snapchat or TikTok or something else. And then you can run ads simultaneously on Instagram. Although I have seen when you try to target, I don't think they have as good of an understanding of the Instagram audience, because when you target both Instagram and Facebook at once, you don't seem to get the same reach across both. In other words, you see, the Instagram post, in my experience, has been shown to just a few people, while the Facebook post is shown to many. And then it's flexible. It has all sorts of features, and it's constantly changing. So they have the Facebook Live, they have your traditional posts, you have the stories, you have videos, you have ads, you have groups you can be on, there's company pages, there's chat bots, so you can set it up so that it responds automatically to common questions. Personally, I find chatbots a little bit annoying. I just want to get to that person, but sometimes chatbots can be helpful. Should you be on Instagram? Well, 37% of US adults are on Instagram. It's growing. It's very visual. They can do a lot of things, like with its reels. It's mimicking some of the things that TikTok could do. It has stories like Snapchat could do. Its content is easily searchable, especially with hashtags, because you can use up to 30 hashtags on each post. And it really is great for if you have a business that has aesthetic images. When I worked in corporate America, I worked for a medical waste company. You can imagine there's not a lot of pleasant things that you want to post on Instagram for a medical waste company. This just aren't pleasant pictures. It's not the same as posting, plates full of beautiful food, or new hairdos, or home improvements, before and after shots of, how someone's remodel looks, that kind of thing. So it's very robust. It's getting some better, insights and analytics than it had. And you can have captions that with, high engagement response rates. People, use the little, on fire and the hearts and things like that to respond, particularly on stories. People are very responsive. But remember, those stories disappear within 24 hours. So stories are really good for a brand when, for example, if you have a pop-up sale or that kind of thing, that, like a sudden promotion. But you go through a lot of work to post, and to have it disappear every 24 hours could be a lot of work for a small business. So you want powerful, pleasing images. It's good for behind the scenes and timely content. And if you're looking for things that you want to post, you go to my website at nancyburgess.net /shop. It's actually, if you go to nancyburgess.net, it's under resources, which actually matches up with /shop. And there's a free Well, there's a free blog that's 65 different things that you can post for ideas. And then there's also a total guide that you could download from the website under shop, or go to the blog and look for that 65 ideas, because it has a lot of different ideas and will keep you engaged with that, so that you can, if you're not sure what to post for your business. And you can, on Instagram, again, you can make use of the feeds and the stories and the IGTV. IGTV is for longer videos, longer than, let's say, a minute, 60 seconds. Stories, I believe, are still 30 seconds. Can't be longer than that. So there's different things you need to know about how to use the channel. And should you be on LinkedIn? Well, if you're business to business, I would say yes. You should be on LinkedIn. If you're a professional, you should have your own individual profile on there. If you're a business owner, your individual profile should be on there, not necessarily a company page. But if you're business to consumer, but if you're B2B, you should have both a company page and your own LinkedIn page. It's a great way to show thought leadership, to establish yourself. You can use hashtags and you can tag people to get more information. They have some emerging analytics, and it like all the other channels, it's changing, but I find LinkedIn isn't changing as quickly. LinkedIn is owned by Microsoft, and they seem to change a little more slowly than Zuckerberg does on Facebook and Instagram. That those seem to be really, flying the plane while changing things up. And so things sometimes are a little a little less organized, or sometimes they kind of break a little bit on Facebook. And it's really important to try to keep up with all those changes, because it changes literally constantly. Like every month there's something that's changed on Facebook or Instagram. Should you be on Twitter? Well, 22% of US adults are on Twitter, but there's certain categories and certain industries where it makes a lot of sense. It's good internationally. I know one of the things I specialize in is search engine optimization, and the SEO information is definitely always on Twitter. Google Search Central posts there, and that's how you can keep your ear to the ground. So it's important for me to be on Twitter. Anyone who's in news or politics, it really depends on your industry, or pop culture. That is a great place to be for you. But for a lot of companies, it's kind of, so people are always asking, if you Google, you can say, is Twitter dying? But it's a good international platform, and it has trending information. So it's good, when you're watching TV or a movie or the Super Bowl, to see like what people are posting and saying, or during a presidential debate or things like that. It also can be used as a search engine, especially with its hashtags, and it has a limit to the number of characters. It used to be 140. They've doubled that, so it's little less of just a headline than it used to be. But still, the average tweet is pretty short, just 33 characters. And it's nice because you can put your website URL in there to get, you can generate traffic that way. And it's free to use. You can expand your reach. You don't have to, pay to use it. And you can get, it used to be pretty easy to drive traffic, let's say, to your website from Facebook, but Facebook has changed its algorithm, its formula, so that it's a lot harder to get traffic to your website without boosting the post. They want to keep people on their platform. They want people to stay on Facebook and not go to your website. So keep that in mind. And so there's shareable content you can share, which is nice. Like it's a little harder to share content, let's say, on Instagram. So there's unique hashtags you can use, and you can target certain keywords. Should you be on Pinterest? Well, 20% of US adults are, but most of those people are women. There's almost 3 times as many women on Pinterest as men. It's great for brides and crafts. I can remember one of my friends, as her daughter's getting married, saying, that darn Pinterest, every time she looks at it, she comes up with more things that we have to do for the wedding. So it's a lot of ideas. So one of the things I'd question is, are people just going there for ideas? Or are they actually going to purchase your products? So if they're going to purchase it, that's awesome. But if they're going to just go there for ideas, not so much. So if you have like a crafty thing, kind of an Etsy type thing, this would be a great platform for you to be on to showcase your, craft or the thing that you're making that people might want to put in their homes or have at their weddings or things like that. And then the users are pretty engaged and active, and then you have pins that you put together like topics, and so it's kind of fun to browse through all those pictures, says the woman. And you can drive traffic to your website from it, and you can easily post pins to Facebook and Twitter as well. Should you be on Snapchat? Well, 24% of US adults are on it, but they're mostly 18 to 24-year-olds. But 59% of US internet users ages 13 to 24. So it's 24% of adults, but 59% of like teens to young adults. And then 50% of users are under 25. It's good for any day-to-day updates and product promotions because again, it vanishes within 24 hours. And the filters and special are special effects that you can use. And then there's like even expensive filters that you can buy. There's like augmented reality that you can use, or you can make your own, but it costs like $1,000 to $30,000, and you have to know how to make filters in order to do that. So if you're selling to, this target group, if you're mainly selling, something to teens and young adults, then this is definitely something you might want to consider. Otherwise, maybe not. Okay, the fourth thing. So that was the third thing, is really consider your persona, who you're targeting, and then who's on that channel. Is it the right channel for you to be on? Just because the other person, somebody down the street is on Instagram doesn't necessarily mean you need to be on Instagram, depending on what you're selling. Then again, it could be the other way around. So what are some of the things that you want to do once you decide on your platform? So you know your persona, you know your business goals, you know your platform. Now you want to choose the frequency and timing of your interactions. And this is general data. Your business may vary. I feel like the SEC reports or something, but this is where Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and LinkedIn see the greatest amount of traffic. And you can Google these things. Different resources will say different things. Generally, Saturday is a ghost town. Some people say Sunday is the worst day, but I do find that sometimes Sunday evenings people are on LinkedIn, but that's been my experience. Facebook, again, it says nobody's on Sunday. YouTube, it says the worst day is Monday. So look, Saturday, Sunday generally aren't greatest days for you to post. But you can use scheduling tools to help with that. Things like Hootsuite or Sprout or things like that can help with that. Hootsuite has changed it used to be 20, you could go on 3 platforms and have 25 posts scheduled in advance. Now they've changed it. They suddenly changed it just very recently to only 5 free posts and 2 channels. And the 5 free posts, each, so if you have you could post, if you're posting on 2 channels, that's 2.5 days. And you need it for things like LinkedIn, because LinkedIn doesn't have its own scheduling tool. Now, Facebook and Instagram have their own scheduling tool, and YouTube has its own scheduling, so that helps too. But LinkedIn and Twitter, it helps to have a platform, a scheduling tool platform, so you can say, I want to post this at 8 in the morning, but you could be, sound asleep in your bed at 8 in the morning, and that works if that's a good time for you to post. Oops. So number 5 is you choose your metrics. You're going to measure this, because how do you know if you're being successful if you don't measure what you're doing? So some of the different business goals measure, some of the different metrics measure different types of business goals. For example, if you're looking at trying to increase your brand awareness, reach, ad impressions and views matter. If you're trying to increase engagement, you're going to want, likes and follows and clicks and, hearts and thumbs up and celebrates, depending on what platform you're on, and hugs. If you're trying to generate interest, you're going to want fans, followers, friends, group members, email subscribers. If you're trying to get leads, you're going to want a landing page view and forums. If you're trying to drive website traffic, you're going to want clicks and page visits. If you're trying to grow your revenue, be the number of purchases, the volume, the profit. And you can, if you want to service customer support, is what kind of sentiment are people saying? What are they saying? How many inquiries are you getting? How many problems are there? Do customers leave satisfied, or are they, as angry as when they came to complain to you? And how many mentions in the press are you getting on social media campaigns, and how many, how much reach are you extending that to? And the sixth and last thing to consider is your resources, especially a small business. There's the time to consider, because it takes time to create graphics and write the content, and it takes time to schedule it. It takes time to, put it together. And it takes time to come up with the strategy itself. It takes budget. If you're going to boost post, you need to know what the budget is. If you're going to hire somebody who's an expert in social media marketing, you're going to have to pay that person. So you're going to need budget for that. A couple of things you might want to think about are both knowledge and expertise. A lot of times you can have a person, and here's some of these scheduling tools. I mentioned Buffer, I mentioned Sprout Social and Hootsuite, but Buffer is another one where you can actually write the posts out and get them all scheduled at once, which is a time saver. So that creates some efficiency. And are you going to pay? Are you going to, go back every 3 days and make sure your posts get posted, in Hootsuite, or are you going to pay to be upgraded so that you can post a whole bunch of posts at once, or schedule a whole bunch of posts at once and not have to go back? So you need to think about those things. And something else I would think about, what I have seen is sometimes you get maybe someone, they think, oh, this person's, is a young person, they'll be the best person to post on my social media. But if they don't really understand the strategy, that's important. So maybe, maybe a wiser, more experienced person could come up with a strategy, and then, and approve posts and things like overall in terms of getting them out there. And then the other person can, execute on that. Just because somebody is young doesn't make them, or native digital, as they say, doesn't necessarily make them the best person to be posting on your social. Do they have the wisdom to interact appropriately? Because one of the things you do want to do when you are on social media is interact with the people. If they're saying they like it, if they comment, you want to comment back and not just ignore them, because it's social media, not solitary confinement media. So there you go. So here's the resource I was talking about for the strategy. You can look under resources, go to nancyburgess.net, look under resources, it's free, and you can download this guide. It's a complete guide. It's many, many pages long, and will give you more on strategy, more details, more on these social media platforms that you can be on, and has links to some of the content I was showing you. So I hope you enjoyed this little webinar, this video, and if you like this video, please subscribe. Please give us a thumbs up. I could use some subscribers. Ring that bell. All right, take care. Have a good day. Bye-bye.